Welcome to part B of the third part of the grade 5 Show Your Work Hardest math problems. All right, so we did a bunch from the same group of questions, and we're just going to keep going on. I'm probably going to still split this up into a part 3, or part C, I should say. This might run half an hour. Let's see how much we add into it. So this is strictly a word question again. I can just look at it from a distance. There's a few numbers flying around there, including numbers, for instance, here, 16. Okay, so let's go for it. 16 students in the drama club want to attend a play. Okay, the ticket price is $35 for each student. Okay, so there's 16 students spending $35 each. Okay, so we actually need to do that multiplication. 16 times 35. 6 times 5 is 30, 0, 3, 5, 8. And again, this is how I do double-digit multiplication. I know some of you other guys do it different ways. If I could sway you guys to doing it this way, I would strongly suggest that. I think it's generally speaking the most efficient way to do it. I like that we can solve problems with alternate ways of doing stuff, but at some point, some other strategies slow you down. Okay, so I'm not saying this is the better way. I'm just saying that it's something you should consider and start testing out to do, because your mastery of the math and your fluidity and your numeracy, they're all kind of interrelated, and you kind of want to be able to get that stuff. So again, I did the 16 times the 5 here. 6 times 3 is 18. Carry my 1, so I have 3 plus that is 4. I got 0, 8 plus 8 is 16, 560. So that should give me $560 there for that. Okay, if 16 students. Remember, you can do the reverse operation, 35 times 16, to double check your answer. So let's do it. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry my 3, 18, 19, 20, 21, and then 5, 3. Okay, I also get 560. Okay, so we're good. All right, or we should be good if we understood the question right. Again, you have to use the right numbers. I don't always see the right numbers because I have dyslexia, so I have maybe multiplied it by 25. I'm going to double check that. I have 35 here, and even the word here can goof me up. I could end up using 15. My brain doesn't track all these kind of things correctly. Anyway, this 560, and then it says the transportation and meals as a unit will cost $960. Okay, so that means if I add in the transportation and meals of $960, right? So I can add that onto here. $960, 0, 621. That should be $1520. Okay, let me just do that math again. Just make sure we're using the right numbers. 6 plus 6 is 12. 2 carry my 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 5 is 15, carry my 1. That should have been a, wait, what am I doing? 2, 1, nope. The 15's right, 1520. All right, so this number 48 so far. This is not the end of the question. Your answer is not 1520. In fact, if we go to the bottom here, it's asking for the answer in sweatshirts. But we're in dollars so far. So either we goofed up really bad or we're not finished with the question yet. All right, so it's worth keeping track of units. I happen to put this dollar sign in here and in here and in here each time, but even if I left it out, I need to be clear this is in dollars, right? If you notice, I'm writing stuff down, like in the dog food question, I wrote bags eaten or something like that or whatever. So this is something you kind of have to keep and be at doing. So we're up to here right now. Okay, to pay for the trip, the students designed sweatshirts to sell for a profit of $19 per sweatshirt. If each student sells the same number of sweatshirts, each of the 16 students, how many sweatshirts must each student sell so there will be enough to pay for it? So what we need to do is take all the money here, okay? The 1520, okay? And there's a couple of numbers we could be working with here. If we divide that by the number of students, okay, that's the total amount of money that's going to be the cost. Divide that into 16 goes to the 1, it doesn't do it. 16 goes into 15, almost, so it doesn't do. So most likely, this is probably 9, so you can test it. 9 times 6 is 54, 5, that's 144. So 144, and you can write it down here and do it long. I just do it short. So that's 6, 7, 8, okay? So I carry my thing there. And now I have 16 going into 80. I know 4 times 16 is 64. 5 times 16 is 80. I know that in my head already because I know the multiplication table, but we can actually go and do it. 6 times 5 is 0, 3. 5 plus 3 is 8, right? So we get it. So we have 95, okay? Now the question is, what does the 95 represent? Okay, this was originally in dollars and divided by the number of students. So the 95 is the required due per student, if you will. Because they're asking to pay for the trip, the students must do it. How many sweatshirts must each student sell? Okay, so each student is required to pay $95 for this to work. So we have one more step. So this is the first step here. This is the second step here. And let me just change the color for the third step, just so we're kind of distinguishing some of this. We go to my handy dandy red. We're going to have 95 divided by the cost per sweatshirt, the 19. All right? So 19 goes into the 9, it doesn't. 19 goes into 95, it doesn't. By virtue of this being a 5, I'm going to try 5. 9 times 5 is 45. 4, 5, yep, there we go, 5. Okay, this is 5 what? Sweatshirts. I'm just going to write sweats. 5 sweatshirts. Okay, and this was our third step here. Okay, and we can go backwards on it. If each student is required to sell 5, and if the price of each sweatshirt is 19, well, first of all, we just did that right here. So that's equal to $95. 5 students times $19 is $95. Okay, there were 16 students, so now we actually have to go do 95 times 16. Okay, and see if it brings us back into the 1520. 6 times 5 is 30. Not 54, 57, and then 5 and 9. We get 0, whoops, 0, 2, 1, 15, 20. That's our number up here that we started with. Okay, so do those checks. Do the checks. A lot of you make one little goof up and you lose 1, 2, 3, whatever points, whatever the thing is worth. So you don't really want to go there and do that. So what we have is a classic word problem. It had 4 steps to it, basically. And you need to do that interpretation. Take it one step at a time and piece it up. I'm going to throw this at some of you guys that this here really deals with the equation of a line indirectly, even though not quite 100%, but that's where this is going. That we basically have $35 times X, and we have a base cost of $960 going on there. All right? So basically we have Y equals 35X plus 960. Okay? It's not asking us to have thought of it this way, but I'm just throwing that out there for students to kind of consider. All right, so that was 48. So this is testing just processing word stuff. We have multi-digit multiplication. We have a whole bunch of multi-digit divisions. This is really just testing basic arithmetic operations. And what you guys should be also figuring out is we go through all these. It's kind of the same rigmarole each time. All right. So we didn't want to use 1520 as the answer. We didn't want to use 95 as the answer. Right. We had to do that last step to get the 5 there. Do your double checks. Even what I did here, going backwards the same way. Just make sure, because this is so error prone to just be off by 1, or when you do the division to make a mistake that you may have tested 8 and realized it was no good, and you wanted to do the 9, and since your mind is so bogged down on doing the 9 one, even though you got the 144 here or whatever it turned out to be, you just end up putting an 8 here instead. Right? You need to just be careful, take it a step at a time, be fast but no faster, be slow but no slower. Right? That sounds Zenish and weirdish, but it's also true-ish. Okay? So, all right, so that's that one. We're going to do 49 next, I think was the next one I didn't do before. Right. Okay. So Jesse sets up a lemonade stand for 3 days. Okay. On Saturday, he sold 10 2/3. Okay. On Sunday, he sold 3 3 gallons more than when he sold on Saturday. So he sells Saturday plus 3 1/3 more. Okay. And then on Monday, she sells Sunday minus 2 2/3. Okay, this one is the critical one, right? Let's go through it again. She sets up a lemonade stand for 3 days. That's the first day, that's the second day, and that's the third day. Okay, on Saturday she sells 10 2/3. Cool, awesome. Sunday, she sold 3 3/3 more than on Saturday. So that's addition. Add that. Okay. On Monday, though, she sells less, 2 2/3 from Sunday. So these are about relative things. So how many gallons did she sell on Monday? So on Saturday, she sells 10 2/3. That's clear. Okay. Sunday, she sells 3 1/3 more. So if we add that up, 2/3 plus 1/3 is 3/3, and 10 plus 3 is 13. So together this equals 14. She sells 14 gallons, right? Do you guys see that? And from there, since this is Sunday, okay, so this is equal to 14. Then we're going to take 14 and subtract from that 2 2/3. So this gets back to our standard. How do we subtract with the things we need to borrow? We're going to borrow a unit, so this becomes 3, and we're going to add 3/3. Why 3/3? Because any number over itself is 1. We just took 1 from here. Remember the example earlier, we used 5/5. So now we have 3/3 minus 2/3 is 1/3. 3 minus 2 is 1, so we get 11, right? 11 1/3. That's the answer. That's what they're looking for. We're done here. And hopefully, so this was in gallons, the 14's in gallons, and 11 1/3 should be in gallons. So we can come here and check that, and we get gallons, all right? So again, this unit check that I keep doing each time, it's not a guarantee, but at least if we're not in gallons, we're somewhere else. And there was no unit conversion we need to do here. If they made it pints or cups or half gallons, we would have had to go through some other parts. We can check this. We can take 11 1/3, add to it to 2 2/3. Okay, 1/3 plus 2/3 is 3/3, and 11 plus 2 is 13. That is equal to 14, which is what we said he had on Sunday, right? And then we can take the 14 if we want to check it. And this is weird because we're going backwards, but subtract the 3 1/3 from that. Okay, so to do that, we need to borrow. That's a 3. So this becomes 3/3. So 3/3 minus 1/3 is 2/3. And 13 minus that is 10. which is our original number over here. So our checks are worth doing. And remember, be careful, this check was tricky. So you don't want to mistake the check and then throw you off completely. Just go through it calmly, go through it confidently, go through it with what you know. One step at a time. Again, go as fast as possible, but no faster. Go as slow as possible, but no slower. Think things out logically, remain calm, take a breath if you need to, back off for a second, reread the question if you need to. In fact, we're at the end of the question, so we should be rereading it and make sure that we actually understood this operation was addition, this operation here was subtraction, and that we're getting this as the answer, right? 10 2/3 was not the answer, 14 was not the answer. Only when we finally get to 11 1/3 is the answer. Students just keep using the middle numbers and giving up on problems, right? You're like, oh, I did enough calculation already. Let me just get out of here. And you can't do that, all right? So this is testing your skills of fractions. It's testing your skills of using operations with mixed numbers. It's also testing your skills to map this more than and less than thing. So are you getting what they're asking you to do in English? And can you map it to the right mathematical concepts, right? That's where they're going here. This is also involving equations because basically you have Saturday equals 10 2/3. Okay, Sunday equals 10 2/3, or even Sunday minus or plus 3 1/3. Okay, and then you substitute in the Sunday into there and actually do it so that you can get what Sunday is. And the same for that, right? Or Saturday, I should be saying, sorry. Or blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, then Monday is equal to Sunday minus 2 2/3. We know Sunday was the 14, so then we just go actually do it. So, by the way, this is algebra at that level. So it's even kind of testing those kind of things like that. What some students do, and I'm not quite sure exactly why, is they kind of ignore this first line here, and they will do 3 1/3 minus 2 2/3. Okay, and I think that's 2/3. I'm doing that in my head. That is not the answer. Some will also add 3 1/3 plus 2 2/3. Okay, that is not the answer. Some students will not pick up on this less than here. And instead of doing the Monday being, let me change the color of this for 1 second. Instead of the Monday being Sunday minus that, they add instead. All right, so these are all goof ups that can go on in this. And they're methodical. The goof ups can be methodical, so they can be corrected. You know, I get students, I'm a bad test taker, I can't solve problems. You can. I get students, I'm a scatterbrain, you're not. Okay, I've worked with too much students. I hate math. Well, maybe slow down and start figuring it out. There are ways to do this, all right? Okay, all right, so that was 49. Let me see how we're doing on time, because I think there was 5 extra questions that we just did 2. We're almost at 20 minutes. So what I might do is one more, because I think 2 of them were more algebraic-ish, that I might spit off by itself. That's 51, 52. Yeah, this one I'm going to spit off by itself. 52, 53. I might put those 2 together. I think the one at the very end I didn't do yet. Yeah, this one. Okay, so let's do this one, and we'll put this to rest. The table below, so I like to look at the illustration first. There's expenses like housing, food, housing, medical costs, and this is the fraction of the budget. So this is not in dollars, but basically if I had $99, then 33 would be on the food, 33 on the housing, and 1/4 of that, which would be about 24.75 or something, would be on the medical care. So these, I'm observing, don't seem to add up to 1, because if they did, this would be 1/3. So I'm observing that. Why is that the case? So hopefully they tell us that. And what is all this in general? It's our operating budget. It could be from a bank. Well, I don't know how food gets applied there. So it's probably a family's budget for the month or the week or the year or something. I don't really know. It doesn't tell us. Well, it says last year, so it might be for the whole year. So let's see where they're going here. All right, so what I'm going to do is remove some of my scribbles because I don't know what I actually have to calculate. And let's now look at the words. So it says the table below shows part. Okay, so remember I said there was a missing piece, right? That this maybe should have been a third, right? So there's a missing piece there of the operating budget of a small dairy farm. Okay, it was not a family from last year. The only expense not listed in the table is maintenance. So there's basically another thing here. I can just put maintenance. Okay, so I don't know if they're asking us to compute that. We don't know yet. Okay. This year, the manager of the farm will change the fraction of the budget for housing to 1/8. So he's going to change this to be 1/8 instead of a third. Okay. But we'll leave the fraction for the budget of the food and the medical care the same. After doing that, the remaining portion of the budget will be for maintenance. So the remaining portion of the budget of the original illustration is also for the maintenance. Okay, it tells us the only thing not listed is the maintenance. So that's the remainder. Okay, in both cases, the remaining portion of the budget was for maintenance. Okay, so in both cases, there's this extra line that's not written down for us. Okay? Okay, what is the difference between the fraction of the budget for the maintenance for this year and last year? So it seems to me I wrote this question mark here. We need to figure out what that question mark was with the original table and then figure it out again if the housing was 1/8. Okay? So how do we go about doing that? That can be confusing to a lot of you guys. So what we need to do is figure out what these add up into. Okay, so let's go do that over here. So we have a third plus a third plus a quarter. Okay, we need to get a common denominator. Which would be 12 in our case. And again, I'm not showing you guys how to do common denominators. That's something you need to know in this. That would just take up too much time if I do that every single time I do that. That said, I have hundreds of hours of video on my channel already, as well as hundreds of videos, including ones that explore getting a common denominator. Anyway, so a third converts to 12 times 4 at the denominator, so times 4 at the numerator. This is the same, and 4 goes into 12 3 times, so times 3 at the denominator, times 3 at the numerator. Okay, 4 plus 4 is 8, right? Plus 3 is 11, so I get 11/12. Okay, that means in the original thing that 1/12 was the fraction of the budget for the maintenance, right? And now that we have its 1/12, we can actually plug it in if we had 4/12 plus the 4/12 plus the 3/12 plus this new thing we just calculated, the 1/12, will give us 12/12. That's equal to 1. So that's the full budget. It's no longer that, right? So so last year's maintenance is 11/12. Okay. Now what we need to do is figure out this year's maintenance. So we're going to go through the same process. Let me get my handy dandy red. So it told us the food was going to remain the same. The housing is being changed to 1/8. And the medical care stays the same. right? It says it will leave the fraction. Wait 1 second, my tablet is freaking out for some reason. It says it will leave the fraction of the budget and the food and the medical care the same. Okay, so we're going to add those up, right? This was, so just to be clear, this is the food, this is the housing, this is the medical care. Okay, this is the food, the housing they told us was changed, and this is the medical care. So we need to get a common denominator again. In this case, it's going to be 20/4. So 8 times 3 is 24 in the denominator, so 8 times 1 at the top is 8. 8 times 3 is 24 at the denominator, so 3 times 1 is 3. And 6 times 4 at the denominator gives us 24, so 1 times 6 is that. Okay, if we add those up, we get 11, 17, 24ths. If I did that right, let me just double check all this. We have a third plus an eighth plus a quarter, 24/8, 24/3, 24/6, 9, 16, 17. Yep, 17 24ths. Okay. That means we now need to figure out the maintenance if it was the next year. Okay, what would that be? Right? We got 11/12 over here before, and we basically did 1 minus 11/12. Okay, and that's the same as 12/12 minus 11/12. And that's how we got the 1/12. Right? I had spoken it, not 1 and 1/12, just 1/12. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. 1 minus 17 24ths. That's the same as 24 24ths minus 17 24ths. And that, I believe, gives us 7 24ths. Okay, this right here, it's not the answer. Just like 1/12 was not the answer. Okay, what is the difference? So there's still another step we have to do. Let me get a handy dandy color. Let's use brown. We haven't used that in a while. So now what we need to do is 7 24ths minus the 1/12. Okay. Okay. So we're going to do like denominators. So 7 24ths we're going to keep. And 1/12 is the same as 2 24ths. Okay, and 7 minus 5. 7 minus 2 is 5. And we get 5 24ths. Okay, and that is the answer finally. And 5 24ths, what? We don't know the units. They don't tell us it's in dollars. It could be in euros, right? So let's go to the bottom here. It just says answer. It doesn't tell us. The reason why it says it's what's the difference between the fraction, where our unit is just fractions. That's all we're looking for. So here we had not too bad arithmetic per se, but this was about interpreting the word problem, which was a doozy. It was about adding fractions together. We didn't get any mixed fractions, I don't think, no. It was also about understanding unequal parts from a whole. Remember, we talked about that a lot in the grade 3 and the grade 4 questions for anybody who's been following this. All right. This one's harder to double check, but you should still run through things again and make sure it's all making sense. You know, you can't really feed the 5 24ths back in, but just you completed the problem, go back to the very top, read all the words, compare the chart to where you're at, and see if everything made sense there. All right? Okay, yeah. All right, so I'm going to postpone this and do a part C. See y'all soon.